Welcome to Meet the Masters of Insurance webinar series. I'm Lawrence Geller, founder of For Advised Only. This is the 40th of what we expect to be a great many webinars with Canadians who've dedicated their careers to learning the art and science of insurance sales and service. Webinars in this series are now scheduled through the end of this year, and in fact, we have scheduled through the end of February of next year so far, and are starting to add webinars for March 2025. Over the years, I've observed that every successful insurance agent whom I've met has succeeded differently, even if they're in the same field, deal with similar clients, and even if they're related or in business together. That's what makes the sale and servicing of insurance one of the best careers that I can imagine. It's possible to become a success in our business with diligence, integrity, and experience. With this webinar series, we intend to prove that any type of person can succeed in insurance sales with hard, thoughtful work and with time. Our goal is to create a video record for each of these masters of insurance so that some of their expertise and experience will be available to anyone who'd like to learn from now and into the future. Today, we have Miles Posner with us. Miles has been an integral part of the Canadian insurance industry for over 30 years. He's owned several successful insurance agencies and an MGA, and he's helped to develop what is now the largest life insurance brokerage in the country. His passion remains in the area of product design, development, and marketing. I'll be interviewing Miles. As I said, we have now booked interviews through the end of 2024 and into 2025. But if you know of anyone who we have not yet interviewed, who is a master of insurance and whom we should be speaking with, please contact me, and I'd be happy to speak. Good morning, Miles. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So we always start with the same question, Miles. How'd you get started in this?
I don't know if I'm still in the business. But basically, many years ago, after having varied experience in many different types of work, anything from being a PI to a cab driver to working in an abattoir, started when I was 10. My uncle, who was a very innovative, successful insurance person, invited me into the business. I mean, prior to that, I was the corporate auditor for a hotel chain, and I didn't have any roots, and he asked me to come talk to him. And when I did, I realized, that it offered me a lot of freedom and creativity to kind of do what I want, deal with people, which I've been dealing with for a long time. So that was many years ago, and I'm still in the business.
What area of practice was your uncle in?
My uncle, well, you probably know some of the people. He ran an agency out of Montreal, and when everything started happening politically, he moved over to Toronto. But when I joined them, I had the privilege to go back and forth to deal with some of the agency's clients there and here. And Quebec or Montreal was a different setup. Here it was agency based, there it was brokerage based. So back then, I had an inkling and an appetite for brokerage. And we basically transformed the brokerage to Toronto, even though it was agency. So we were dealing with companies, not just one, because no company has all the answers.
Well, that was pretty innovative, because the only other one I know from then was Mary Lou Taylor and Jack Lane, who were Transamerica brokers. There were not a lot of brokers in Ontario.
No, we were actually contracted through Prudential Assurance, and basically, even before I started selling, before I got licensed, I took about 6 months to pick his brain and really learn the products, as opposed to just, passing the exam. So I was off and running.
Well, you said that you dealt with the agency's clients, but you also found your own. What sort of clients did you find, and where did you find them?
Well, give you an example. At the time, my wife was, well, we were having a child, and we went into the Lamaze program, okay? And as an example, there must have been 20, 30 people in the Lamaze program, and I canvassed all of them, okay? It was a no-brainer for me, and I think I picked up like about 65% of them as clients. To give you an example, I looked for clients everywhere. I mean, I wasn't afraid or embarrassed to let them know that I sell concepts, I mean insurance, etc. And I basically learned different types of products, so I could talk to people intelligently, whether it was group, whether it was DI, etc. Life insurance, different concepts. Actually, I mean, I had a lot of training because his agency was very powerful. Stephen Cohn was part of it. My cousin Marty Shaw was part of it. You know, a lot of we'll call them masters of insurance. So I learned from all of them, being the newbie.
And what sort of activity did you have? Was it daytime? Was it evening? What was
My
most?
activity. Well, during the day, I look to basically call people and introduce myself and try to make appointments, and I had appointments. Uh, at night, I have appointments, hopefully. And I do remember, though, that I was working hard. I'd get up in the morning very early, sometimes 3, 4 o'clock, go out for breakfast, be in the office by 4 o'clock, we'll say, do my paperwork, because I always like to prepare. And by 9 o'clock, you know, I was able, or 8 o'clock even, I was able to talk to some of the insurance offices to get some of the things resolved. And after that, I did what I could. Basically, I mean, I know we had general insurance brokers that would say, here's a list of some of the clients I have. And I would phone them up, you know, etc. Anywhere that I could really try to introduce myself to people, I tried.
What sort of approach did you use with these brokers' clients? Because they didn't know you from Adam.
No, I mean, it was a warm lead. I'm with, I represent ABC General Insurance, and they've asked me to contact you, okay, regarding situations that you might not be aware of, okay? We're there to give you full service, okay, not just on your home and auto and whatever it was at the time, okay? We can offer life insurance. I don't know if you've thought about it, whatever it might be. It depends on the individual, how the conversation proceeded. Okay, so that's basically how I would approach it. Everybody's different.
Were these PNC brokers affiliated with your uncle, or were they people you met?
Affiliated and people I met, both.
His practice was partially PNC and partially life and partially,
No, my uncle was
you was
strictly life, and not even group. That was more Stephen Cohn and Marty and myself, and there was other people there, Roy and Lenny and what have you. Okay, you probably don't know.
don't know Roy. Um, okay, so how did you find these PNC brokers? Or how did they come to you?
Well, basically, if you can bring in more revenue, okay, uh, they're happy. They don't have to do the work. We would split the business or whatever the percentage was. So it wasn't like, go get them, Miles, they're all yours. They were duly licensed as well. So, I mean, I had to split it, but what I was doing was building the base and increasing my income. Because when you have a child, okay, and you're married and you know that, I mean, you got to bring home the bread and the bacon.
You developed a very broad expertise, as I remember. I didn't meet you until the early 80s, but you had expertise across all areas of insurance. As I remember, after you left your uncle, you joined up with Jonathan Matthews and had a
Right.
very successful
Yeah.
agent. Tell me about that. How did that work?
Worked fabulously. Okay. Jonathan, uh, being a- an ex-South African, okay, had a very good connection with all the South Africans because when a lot of the people came over, I think there was three things that they realized. They have to move to Thornhill, okay, etc. Uh, and they have to ask Jonathan Matthews about insurance. Okay, he was an insurance broker back in South Africa.
That seems to have been something that was not uncommon. They would be in insurance in South Africa with Liberty often, and then come to Canada and the clients would come with them almost.
Well, that's it. I mean, he had a following, okay, and Jonathan was more of a P&C guy, even though he had an insurance background. So I was able to enhance that, where he would concentrate more on the general side.
But Matthews Posner became one of the first MGAs, didn't it?
Well, they became an MGA, yes. It was a lot of fun. We represented every carrier at the time, from Manulife to Transamerica to you name it, even Provident, etc. Um, yeah, basically, I don't know if we were the first, but we um, I guess made connections with some of the other ones, like the Kopaloff Agency. They helped us because my uncle was their first broker out of Montreal when Sid and Joe Woodyette basically were the two guys that were instrumental in introducing brokerage to, I guess, the world, the Canadian world. So that helped. It's who you know too, and you use the connections to try to, elevate and enhance yourself.
How does an insurance sales guy move to being an MGA?
Well, it wasn't a big move because I was also a producer. Okay. So I had people in the back office that would do some of the administrative work. I was there if they wanted any assistance, if I could offer assistance, because we had a lot of very high profile brokers in that. And what I did was I offered them very high bonuses because I built the book that way, etc. I was, to get the volume. And I mean, we made all the money on our own production. We had a 35% penetration rate into our general business, which was kind of unique and unheard of. I mean, there's penetration, but we didn't have a small brokerage, didn't have a massive brokerage. Maybe at the time it was worth maybe $20 million book. So when you get a third of that, and there's groups and disability and all types of business situations that come up with life insurance. So it worked very well. We were in business for about 17 years until we were approached to be bought out by one of the major insurance companies, Lombard at the time, now known as Northbridge. And after that, they were instrumental in creating Hub International, and Hub bought us out. And after that, we created Hub Financial, which was an offshoot of Hub International. And after Hub Financial, I basically continued on because I wanted to be independent, not work for a big company. Because my past experience tells me, as an old corporate auditor, I don't know if I want to be involved in a very big company, okay, where other people are pulling the strings that maybe I haven't got the same mindset or even respect of how they approach things, because they're more of a general entity, and we were a life entity, and those two things are very different. I mean, insurance, life insurance, whether it's group or whatever, has to be sold. Uh, General insurance, it's taken for granted, etc. It's not so much sold as it is delivered. I mean, it's
Well,
sold, but
it's helpful that if you have to have a mortgage, you have to have insurance, and if you have a car, you have to have insurance. It's a have
exactly.
to. But you also became one of the largest producers of disability insurance in the country.
Well,
How did you move
I
into
had a very good mentor there as well. You remember Joe Wellman.
you
We
indeed?
became very close. And I learned from Stephen Cohn, and I learned from whoever I could to really, elevate myself for disability. At the time, I know disability isn't as attractive today as it used to be because they have critical illness now, etc. And a lot of people are vying for that. But the disability part was interesting because that was the world of competition, which you know, Paul Revere and Provident and Canada Life and Aetna and whoever else was in the game. Okay, you're up against your cohorts, and you had to basically, he who presents better wins the game. So you have to know the weaknesses and the strengths of each product, and to be able to I guess, conquer. I remember one time, because I know you were with Paul Revere. Remember that the manager there, he was kind of a different type of guy, not Vince, the guy over,
Russell Ross.
pardon me?
Russell Ross.
No, his boss.
Bruce Coran.
No. He got mad at me when I beat him out on a case he already sold. It was a big premium at the time, and
Bob Gould.
yes.
Big Bob Gould. Yeah.
Yeah. He told me, now that you took this away from me, and I only did it with an explanation. He says, I don't want you to sell Paul Revere anymore. I said, okay. He was a different cat.
There were a lot of real characters in the 70s and
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah.
Many of them with big cigars, I remember. So P&C service and life and disability service and group service are all very different. How did you deal with that? Because group P&C clients will call you and with some regularity and expect service.
Well, I was able to use the people in the office to deal with them. And I told them, okay, I'm like the gatekeeper. These people are very good at what they do. They know more than I do. Okay. But if I have to get involved, especially if there's a claim, okay, I'm there. I'll do what I can to assist. But our people are very good. So that allowed me to concentrate on the other areas that I found, let's say, more interesting than, car insurance and home insurance. So like our group, I had people that helped me, okay, with the administration and the service. And I was always involved in the renewals because that's the important part. Okay, if you have a good renewal, you maintain the carrier and you maintain the confidence of the client. You don't have to shop it around every time. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to shop it around. You want to maintain a relationship with the insurance company because you beg for more favors when you do need them, and you do need them from time to time, etc. Disability, I mean, it's all about claims, isn't it? Claims is the key. You got to be there. You got to walk your talk when it comes to claims. And I've had some very interesting situation with claims, but
Do you get involved in claims across your client base?
I do. Okay. To this day, I have clients that have been around for a long time, and this is when they want you at claim time. I do. I mean, I know one time with Manulife, there was a CI claim and they weren't going to pay it. And it was part of the program, but it was a new procedure. Anyways, at the end of the day, after back and forth and getting different opinions from doctors, they had to change the way they approached it. Okay, so I've been involved in things like that. You got to go sometimes over and above when people expect something. I mean, that's what I would expect. And what I expect is what I would think people would expect. I mean, if I'm going to sell something, like I said, I want to be there to help them, not just to sell it and move on. Because if I was in it just for the money, I'd probably go into contraband. Kidding aside, I mean, there's more money in it, more risk, but more money.
Well, after you left Jonathan and you finished up your relationship with this major brokerage and you went back on your own, you started to develop products. Was that purely boredom or just the need?
Well, partly boredom. Okay. Always, I like to be inactivity. Okay. Kills ambition, and ambition kills inactivity. So I saw holes in the system all along, as you would. Okay. So I thought about it. I had different approaches. Like one of the first products I designed, to help design, was a company with a company called Federated Life, which was out of the West, called First in Line. Okay, great name. Um, I love the marketing aspect, which I delve into more these days. It jumped people into the states that couldn't get into the system readily. Okay, it was a group insurance product for as low as 3 lives, no medical, etc. It was innovative, but of course, sometimes when you're first out of the hopper, things don't always go along. I mean, it was there for a few years, and then after, okay, we developed My Dignity, which was originally a long-term care product that came in as the companies were exiting, all the long-term care carriers were exiting the market, and we found a niche because just understanding that people want to be at home, they don't want to be in a facility, so it was designed for home. It was friendly to the insurance company because they knew what their liability was as opposed to open-ended, having lifetime benefits increasing, etc. And the underwriting was the problem, okay, and just the way it was approached with the Canadian carriers, okay. They modeled it after the US version, which really didn't work here. Because since we have, I guess, government care, or at least the perception that we have government care, etc. So it had to be designed that way. And it's been going for about 15 years now. And it's exciting because now I can delve into some of the marketing things, create commercials, do marketing blurbs, do webinars, promotion in that. And of course, I sell. I like to keep my fingers in the pot because if I lose that ability, okay, because don't do as I tell you, do as I do type of approach works a lot better when you're dealing with brokers than when you're just being a post office MGA. And that's the way I used to view MGAs. They're post offices. Okay, they gathered a lot of different brokers, and sometimes the people really just adhered to what the company wanted, and that was it. It went from A to B and B to A, and that was it. So that was one of our strengths when I was as an MGA. Okay, when I had that ability to be in that market, you've got to basically uh, be there. Okay, and you've got to be able to sell. So when you're selling, talking to a broker, if I was talking to you, okay, knowing that I sell, rather, I mean, you wouldn't have the same kind of respect for somebody that's telling you what to do. It's all these guys that know what to do, but don't do it, type of thing. In my opinion, that's my opinion.
Okay, remember Groucho Marx, that's my opinion. If you don't like it, I have other opinions.
Exactly.
But you were a non-can specialist. You sold policies that were fully guaranteed, that would never change during the contract lifetime. And then you moved into a renewable contract. How do you explain that to a client?
Well, they don't really ask that question, but since you asked it, okay, that's really what's offered. There was never a long-term care policy that was guaranteed. And Canada was really the only jurisdiction. I remember we actually sold the first critical illness policy in this country because we went to South Africa, found it there, my South African connection. We recruited brokers, etc. We saw critical illness, and it wasn't guaranteed in many of the different countries, but here it was, and it still is. But long-term care, when it came out, I think it was with Commercial Union, maybe, might have had that product. Uh, Canadian General might have had that product. It really wasn't a guarantee. So you have to sort of go along. It has to be insurance friendly. It's got to work for all parties, the broker, the client, and the insurance company. You can't have one over the other. And unfortunately, as a broker, I came last, which is fine. I want the client, the client has to come first, but pretty close, the insurance company has to also be there. So when we designed the product, they were happy with it. They knew what their exposure was, etc. And we've never had an increase in the 15 years that we've had this product. Yes, it can be increased, but you know, because you've seen the market over the years, that when you have a non-guaranteed, when you have a product that's guaranteed renewable, they have to do it scientifically. You can't just raise the rates out of existence, because the good, I guess, situations, risks will flee because they're not going to overpay, and the bad ones will stay because they know they're going to claim. So who wants a book of bad business? So it's got to be new and unimproved. Okay. And they couldn't cancel the plan. The plans are non-cancelable though. That's the thing. It's not that they're cancelable, but we've been, I mean, diligent in working with people that we have respect for and trust. They don't have to be the biggest broker. They just got to have the integrity and the know-how to understand. And that's how we work with people.
Those of us who have been around long enough remember adjustable premium whole life, adjusted out of existence. But you're perfectly right. When you adjust premiums that way, you end up with adverse or anti-selection. And the bad risks all stay because they know they're going to claim.
Right.
How do you explain that to an agent?
Well, you do. I mean, basically, if you look around, car insurance goes up, house insurance goes up, health insurance goes up, all travel insurance goes up, all these insurances go up. Okay, so people have to learn to expect that something that's very unique might go up. Okay, if the experience turns out to be, let's say, not negative, okay, you could expect it. So you got to work with the insurance company. Okay, you might come up with a new and unimproved product, etc. Or you might raise the rates 10%, but you can't do it in a very systematic way, or you lose what you've developed. And we've been successful. We have not even had an increase. That's not to say it might not happen, but people have to be educated to know that things can happen. This is a very different product. So that's how I try to explain it. I don't know if I did a good job explaining it to you. Okay, but other things go up. People are accustomed to having their car insurance go up, unfortunately, and their house insurance. So why not their health insurance? And this is a type of health insurance.
So it's really the agent's problem, not the client's problem. The client knows to expect the premiums go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're dealing with, people that have an open mind, they're going to accept it. We don't get that many, I guess, questions or pushbacks on, well, geez, this is guaranteed or it's not enough. Okay, and I tell them, if it's not enough, we're not selling Lotto Max here, pal. Okay, I mean, every insurance product, okay, is limited, but it's something that people have to know about, etc. And it's something that will enhance your image, because you come in with something different. You become much more referable when you've got something intelligently to talk to your clients and prospects about, something that's in the news.
As someone who develops new products and markets them, how do you get agents to understand the value of those products and to take them to their clients?
Well, a lot of hard work, okay, one-on-one, developing marketing material, webinars now, thank goodness. Okay, I mean, just about a month or so ago, I Hub is one of our clients, and they have a lot of brokers. So when they do their Hub days across the country, we participate. Okay, so we go to Vancouver and Calgary and Montreal and what have you, and we're there. Okay, sometimes we speak, sometimes we're there as a presenter having a table. We do whatever we can to meet people, but that's not the only way, okay, to attract business, just so you know. We also know that association type business and group type business can use our product the way it's designed. It's very it's a qualified insurance-backed PHSP, which allows it to be integrated into group benefits. Okay, there's ways to do it. And all this, whatever you want to call it, magic, okay, really just comes from the fact that I've been in business for a while. I've analyzed it. Okay, I see opportunities. Okay, and that's really all it is. Okay, it's from hard work and dedication and being responsible and trying to do your best and trying to create opportunities. Opportunities for me means opportunities for anybody. If I can see the opportunity, okay, I'm not the world's smartest guy. I'm okay. There's guys that they work differently, they'll see it. And mostly everybody that we talk to understands it. People love the product, okay, but I guess it's how it's presented.
So we're
My
back to
2 cents.
credibility because you sell as well as market.
Yeah, no, for years we were the face of CARP, Canadian Association of Retired People. So we would have the phones basically and the emails terminated in our office. So we would sell them on behalf of CARP. They weren't licensed, or the insurance company. They were licensed, but they said, you do the work. I don't want it. They were a general insurance company that was our partner. So we would sell it that way. I sell it to different groups. I still have a very big, I guess, following a lot of old clients that are still, I'm glad they're old and not dead, okay, on the books, okay, and we offer it to them, depending. When we sell disability, we show it as an adjunct, okay, because it's a 0-day waiting, no medical, things like that. It's something, okay. It works sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't work. You keep pushing. I like to I like to push, okay? I'm not ready to retire because I think I once told somebody retire rhymes with expire. No, thank you. I've seen enough of that.
Um, Tell me about your mentors. Did you have a lot of early mentors? Did you have mentors through your career?
Well, I look for people that I have that I know are good. Okay, like early on, I would, my uncle who, for what it's worth, very smart. Okay, so I learned the good things. I didn't learn how to take your socks and leave your shoes on. Okay, but I did learn the good points. Steve Cohn, a very knowledgeable gentleman along the way. My cousin Marty. Okay, I mean, etc. Along with Joe Wellman along the way. Whoever it might be, some of the group people when I was starting out, I would try to learn. I would go out for lunch with them. I would ask questions, just a thirst for knowledge, I guess, and to know, okay, uh, how can I do better? Or always looking for an angle in a way, because with all the thousands of insurance agents around, what's the difference between me and somebody else? I've got to be able to be a little different somehow. And that's really always been my approach. What's a little different? Or what resonates with an individual once you get to know them, etc.
So did you look for mentors who could add to your knowledge base?
Well, I always, I mean, you might not think you were a mentor, but I always listened to what you had to say. When you wrote, some of the claims you adjudicated or got involved with, I read it, okay? So in a way, you were a silent mentor, in a way, etc. I mean, I do a lot of reading, or not as much now because I'm still pretty busy. Um, I don't really look for a mentor. I mean, a mentor would have more experience than me, and these guys probably aren't even around anymore, to be honest.
That's part of the reason that we're doing this webinar series is that all of the institutional and professional knowledge we've lost along the way.
Of course.
And
We all have our time.
I certainly regret not starting this much earlier. If we'd started this at the turn of the century, I waited my whole life to say at the turn of the century, it would have been far better, far more people. But Miles, you and Jonathan, when you hooked up, were very different characters, but you were complementary. Is that the sort of thing that you would recommend to others? Find somebody who's a specialist, like Jonathan was a specialist in P&C, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think his specialty was being personable with people. He was extremely funny and extremely quick. Okay. And the fact that he had a South African following, basically, I mean, it was almost like it was handed to him on a platter in a way. I mean, I'm not to take anything away from him. Uh, Actually, when we used to go to some of our conventions, which they don't have anymore, they used to get us mixed up. They used to call me Jonathan and Jonathan Miles. They thought we were two peas in a pod. We were different though. Okay. We did complement each other. Uh, he was very good. I mean, being in the insurance business, the life insurance business, he always could promote. Okay. Talk to my partner, etc. So his partner would talk, etc. And vice versa. Okay. General insurance, what about, I got this business. What am I going to do? You know what? Let's see what we're going to do. Like I said, I'll be the quarterback when needed, but if there's an issue, you can let me know, etc. So it worked.
We've seen that very often. We've seen what Sheldon Turk and Mel Gilbert called find them, mind them, and grind them. The Korean McConnell group do that brilliantly, where they have one person who opens the cases, one person who develops the cases, and another who provides the service on an ongoing basis. Is that something that you would see as a valuable association with other agents?
Well, I think people got to hone in on what their strengths are, to be honest. Everybody, or what their passion is. Some people do want to be in front of the client. Some people don't want to be in front of the client, but they're very good in the back office. So if you can connect that way and create a marriage of sort, I can't see it being anything other than pretty successful. Okay, because you got to like what you're doing, etc. I mean, if you put somebody in a pigeonhole that really would rather be doing something different, it's only going to work for a limited amount of time.
Rob Crowder on his webinar yesterday asked the question, um, what would make you feel that you had been successful? And my thought was that it was enjoying getting up and going to work every day and feeling that you can make a difference and that you have made a difference at the end of the day. Are those things you can associate with?
Yeah, I mean, I love Mondays. Well, I get up a little later now. And Fridays, I mean, it's the close of the week. So I do try from time to time to still keep things going on the weekend. I enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy it, okay, like basically, I was bought out twice. Why would I come back if I didn't enjoy it, etc.? And I think when you get to a certain age, you've got to be physically, socially, and cognitively involved. And if you like what you're doing, okay, insurance, creativity, dealing with people, okay, that's the cognitive side of it and the social side of it, obviously, or in part. Uh, you got to have a passion, you got to have a purpose when you get to a certain point. I mean, all the way through, but especially when you're a little longer in the tooth, etc. When a lot of people are, whatever, retired or whatever the word is. I mean, look, as an insurance agent, I'm not collecting fares for TTC where I probably want to retire. I had a gentleman that was one of our brokers. Remember Barney Berkowitz?
Right.
Okay. He was 85 years old and still writing business. Okay. On a part-time basis, still made $750,000 a year. Okay. And he had a system. That's when we had our financial life MGA. He was dynamite, 85 years old. He had his own little office. He had his system. And he was a manager for Metropolitan Life many years before things turned around and he had to adapt, which is another important situation. People have to adapt. Okay. Uh, that's the resilience. When things change, they have to adapt. If people don't adapt, they want to last. Okay. He did. He lasted. But there's an example of somebody who basically enjoyed what he was doing and making a good living at it and going to Florida for 6 months. What's wrong with that?
The Cadillac down. Would his system still work today, do you think?
Well, it's today, who knows what's going on, with insurance companies. I mean, very different. Service is not up to the same level from the insurers. Uh, Artificial intelligence is jumping in, which tells me at some point, a lot of the insurance sales, people will swallow it hook, line, and sinker. Okay, I don't maybe need somebody. I think, I don't know. Would it work? Yeah, if you don't roll a dice, you don't win. That's one thing. Whether you're in Las Vegas or you're in the insurance business, you must roll the dice. You have to give it a shot. I couldn't tell you if it would work, but why wouldn't it work? If you've got your system and you enjoy what you do.
Tell us about his system then.
Barney?
Yeah.
Every Monday or Tuesday, he'd make calls. Okay, I mean, there it was easy, because we had the products, term to 100, he would call it. Okay, no cash, simple insurance, because at that point it's a lot easier to destroy something than it is to create something. We do know that. So at the time, people were, let's say, not hepped up on whole life insurance and cash values and the way the media might have reported it. I mean, it's okay. We can cash in however he presented it. So he would make his 2 or 3 or 4 appointments a week, etc. He'd call the presidents or the people in charge of different companies and etc. He was just cold calling on the phone every week, every Monday, like an alarm clock. He would be there, etc. And then he'd close the cases, rest, come back Monday, do the same thing. It wasn't a sophisticated system, but it was a system. And I guess he got that from the fact that when he was an old metropolitan manager, okay, just the way they used to present and promote and teach their agents how to work. I mean, I once had a gentleman I might have mentioned when I used to do cold canvassing when I was starting out initially. He didn't take no for an answer. Like he would phone people on Christmas Day to say, "Do you want insurance?" They'd hang up on him. He'd call back. He didn't care. Okay, I mean, he was persistent, but the fact is, that's how they taught you in those days. I don't know.
So
The old days, right? It was
that's
fun.
that's the rolling the dice that you were talking about. Then if you
Well,
roll
to a
the dice,
point. I mean, I don't think I would want to phone somebody unless to wish them Merry Christmas on Christmas Day, etc. I mean, you develop a little bit of finesse, and after a few years, I mean, he was from the old school, to be honest.
if you were looking for clients today, if you sold out again, and you were starting again from scratch, no proprietary product, just whatever's in the rate books for the company, what would you try to do?
I haven't gone that far, but no proprietary. So that means my Dignity product is not around.
You sold it. No, you sold it. It's somebody else's product now. You're doing something new.
I would hope that when I sold it, I'd have the availability to present it because I might not have sold it. I mean, I've sold twice. I get it. Okay. I don't know if I'd sell again, to be honest with you, but if I did, um, I guess I'd have to investigate a little bit of everything, like the way some of the younger people are marketing, okay, with their LinkedIn more and buying leads, perhaps. But I would think I had enough of a connection. I'd go to general insurance people, etc. I'd work with them, show them they know a lot of them might know me or know of me. They can figure it out. I might be an asset. I would continue to, present myself and market myself. That's as a start. And obviously, when you start something, things develop. You create your own luck, but you got to work at it. Okay. If I would talk to people. Maybe I would do webinars. I don't know. Talk to the guy that that still knows a lot. Okay, answer your questions. Like I know you get involved in second opinion and claims, very smart, etc. I'd have to figure it out. I mean, that's a question that I haven't really thought about, but and maybe it would be time for me to say, you know what, I will step back. At some point, I think everybody steps back. I mean, I don't want to, I don't know if I want to, I say I want to, die in the saddle. I say that with tongue in cheek, but is that really what I want to do?
And then there's the question of which saddle. It may not be the same saddle that you started it.
I don't understand what you're.
Now I'm running webinar. I'm running this webinar series, a different saddle. But you're going back to what you would do. It sounds as though you're recommending that people find warm leads, as you call it, leads that where you can use third-party influence from someone else.
Well, that's one approach. I mean, we only, we're only so good. Okay. You got to sometimes leverage yourself. Okay. And I would include that as being leveraging. If you know someone, can I, you show them what you can do. You make, I mean, it's like the old way of getting a referral. I've done a good job for you, Mr. X. Okay. Anybody you can think of who might benefit from some of the advice I might be able to offer, etc. I mean, isn't that really just a different way of approaching it?
Certainly what we learned in LUATC back in the 70s. True. It's amazing how many things are still true. Miles, when you dealt with clients over the years, numbers have become much larger. You were talking about maximums earlier with my dignity, and we talked about disability. In the 70s, $25,000 a month of disability and income protection was a tremendous amount, 300,000 tax-free a year. Now it's not necessarily that much. How do you approach that with a client?
Well, there's a couple of things you can do. Depending, are they part of a company? Okay, you can sell them individual insurance and stack group on top. You can add critical illness insurance, etc. Okay. Uh, and I even would suggest my dignity. Okay, because it's inexpensive, it's something more, it's a 0-day wait, etc. Give them full coverage. Because if they're looking for more than 25,000, okay, the replacement value, the higher you go, the lower the replacement value when it comes to DI. You gotta sort of bundle it. As the ad on TV goes, bundle Ruski. That's when you watch NFL football. The coach for the, I mean, I'm silly, the coach for the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm sorry, football is not something I watch, but I take your word for it.
I mean, he's the best coach around. He's got, I think it's God's team, okay, and he's doing an ad for State Farm. Bundle Ruski, bundle your car and your house insurance or whatever. I don't know.
Is that we talked about dual licensed agents, brokerage for P&C and life agency, where they had both licenses. Is that common still?
That's one way I would approach it, okay? Because everybody, like before, everybody sort of needs house and car insurance, or they're mandated to have it. House being their biggest asset, car insurance is mandated. So if somebody's starting out, okay, maybe you started with general insurance and then you progress. You get your life license and you learn it because you're now building a base, okay, etc. That's not a bad approach. Okay, yeah, you put up with, I mean, to me, it's nonsense, do I take my jewelry out of the safe, in the safe, whatever? I mean, car back and forth. I mean, to me, it's a lot of whatever, etc. But it might be an interesting way to start, etc. I don't know if I'd want to do that at my stage, because re-answer the question that you asked, what would I do, etc. I'd have to actually relearn general insurance a little bit because I've sort of I refer it.
So what would you recommend someone new coming into the business do?
Well, why are they coming into the business? I guess they're just coming in because it's an opportunity. I would say I've seen a lot of people that hook up and learn from the general side, from what I've seen. The life side, you need a mentor, okay, of sorts. I guess to work with them and you'd be like a medical resident. Okay, you'll get low pay, long hours, etc. But you'll learn eventually. I mean, you gotta put in the time. Okay, things don't. I mean, a lot of people that I find, want to start as president and then move up. I find, etc. And I mean, let's be realistic, because young people, in a lot of ways, have that entitlement attitude, perhaps, and not everybody, but some do.
Would you do split case business?
Yeah, why not? You're learning. I mean, when I used to split cases, I learned.
So you would find a client, know that you couldn't necessarily deal with what they needed, but you bring someone in?
Well, would I bring someone in? It depends. I know that's something that a lot of people don't do. Um, if I was new, I would. At my stage in the game, I can't think like that.
Talk about what you would recommend for someone new coming into the business again.
Yeah, why not? As long as you know that you're still going to own part of the business. Because years ago, when you split the business, they gave you the 50% or whatever it was, and they own the business. I mean, you got to understand what's in store for you. You want somebody that's going to be fair and equitable, etc. And if you can do that, if that's the way to learn, I mean, isn't something better than nothing?
Certainly, Marty McConnell has always said 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. And
Yeah,
that's something I've heard many times over my career.
for sure.
What areas of practice do you think in insurance are growth areas? You've seen everything.
Growth areas. Well, I think developing relationships with people now more so is one way to do it. You want to be able to offer them advice through the life cycle. Okay, so I think you've got to really get a pretty good handle on everything, whether it's life insurance and then living benefits, etc., maybe general insurance. Okay, because when you're an insurance agent, you're just not an insurance agent. Okay, you're a priest, an accountant, you're a medical professional, you're a psychiatrist, you're all these people, including an insurance agent. Okay, so relationships is really the key. Okay, and adequate service. You're not going to phone them every month, and tell them, well, yeah, I have 4 clients. I'm just calling you this time, etc. Okay, you want to be on top of it. You want them to know you walk the talk, type of thing. I don't know if I've answered it because I mean it's a very interesting conversation, and you're a very good interviewer. You get to pull things out of people.
I always wanted to be Merv Griffin. Um,
Johnny Carson.
he was funny at the time. And I quit smoking many years ago. And I don't play tennis. But
And you're not married 5 times or
no,
4 times.
I learned my lesson once. Um, it so let's go back. You have been through your career a generalist who's been a specialist. You've learned about everything in the business, everything in every insurance product you understand. How did you learn all of that? And is it important?
To me, it was. I mean, I want to talk intelligently. I mean, I wouldn't like to be in a situation, I mean, a lot of people, you go to a party, they'll talk about their car insurance. Yeah, no, I'm in the life insurance business. I wouldn't like to, I'd like to say, you know what? I mean, I know enough to be dangerous. I'd say, I can add 2 cents, and you know what? Why don't I have some, if you want another expert opinion, give me a call Monday and I'll hook you up with the guy that I deal with. Okay, or whatever it might be. Okay. So there's an opportunity. There's no opportunity if you don't know anything about certain things that people are aware of and want to talk about. Because most people want to talk about their car insurance, they got into an accident and they didn't pay the claim, and who knows? Sometimes they'll get a little bit more personal. Oh, my life insurance, this guy, whatever, you know, you want to talk intelligently.
So you have to know about everything, but not know everything
You
about
can
it.
never know. To this day, I'm always learning certain things from people that you wouldn't even expect it. Okay. Um, Different things come about. Okay. And I'm learning little things here and there, not necessarily big things, but yeah, learning is important. And I think you're always learning. Nobody is ever going to know everything 100% of the time.
No. But you become a real specialist in certain areas. I guess you have to develop a product.
Well, specialist is a funny term. I've become interested and diligent in it. And if I don't know something, okay, I'll find out as best as I can, etc. Because I do sometimes run across situations where I might have forgotten or I'm not sure, etc. on something. And I'm not afraid to admit that. I know where to go. That's the key, or one of the keys.
Yeah, one of the first things that we were taught back at Imperial Life in the 70s was to say, I don't know the answer, but I know where to find the answer. Let me get back to you in the morning.
Yeah. And that shows the type of person you are. Okay. You have the integrity. You face up to something as opposed to trying to smooth it over.
You talked about starting at 4 o'clock in the morning and going, I guess, to the Dirty Bagel for a bagel and scrambled eggs, and then going to the office. Um, that was in Toronto. Um, why did you do that? What did you have to do so early in the morning?
Well, there wasn't enough hours in the day. When you're a one-man shop, you're ordering the medicals, you're following up on cases. Why isn't it going through? You're doing the briefs to present to somebody, you're calling somebody. Okay, whatever comes about. Then there wasn't enough hours in the day. If I said 9, 5, I'm done. Okay. So I would do my paperwork and things that needed following up beforehand, after having my bagel, going to the office. It was quiet. Nobody was bugging me. Come 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, I was on the phone with the insurance people getting those things done. And it left me time to now do some canvassing or marketing, okay, or having meetings with clients, etc. And at night, hopefully having appointments, some appointments during the day when I started up, but most of them were at night because it wasn't so much business people, and as you evolve, business people would rather see you during the day. It depends. Group insurance is more during the day, even though I get calls at night from owners of businesses.
What would you say for the average insurance agent, the generalist, a good mix of business was?
Good mix of business. Well, I think I really can't say what a good mix is. Okay, I know group business and things that have ongoing renewals, if people are into the status and the money, okay, is important. But the mix, I think you've got to know, you got to know your products. I think you've got to really know everything, because one day that mix might not be there. If you concentrate on life insurance and an AI comes in and your market is depleted because you're dealing with robots, etc., that can offer the same advice supposedly, which I don't believe, okay, you got to be able to fall back onto something. Like there was a gentleman out of Montreal, and I still can't remember his name. He did income averaging annuities in and out, everything. He was the master. And
George
then
Ling,
you had to pardon?
George Lingvari?
No, I'm trying to remember who he was. He put himself in the Guinness Book of Records, and he gave himself he knighted himself, I think. He was a character. Okay. Anyways, the government took away income averaging annuities. He was out of business. Out of business. From being totally successful to one day zero. You gotta hedge your bets.
You
You've
don't
got
want
to
to be
be,
one trick pony.
pardon me?
Do not want to be a one trick pony.
No, I don't think so. And I think the insurance, that's a big, that's a, it's a big industry. I mean, you can insure anything.
Thank you, Miles. We've hit the top of the hour. It's been very quick. I appreciate your contribution. I appreciate your experience and your knowledge. Many years ago, I looked up to you. We were very impressed with what you guys were doing in the early 80s and continue to be. And the My Dignity product is certainly one worth people looking at. Next week, we have Mr. Joel Kadesky with us. Joel also is a master of insurance, has been in the business for over 45 years. And that is on November 28th. The following week, on December 5th, we have Mr. Paul Williamson, another master of insurance, followed on December 12th by Joe Sheehan.
Oh.
On December 19th, Lori McNeil will be with us, and she'll be interviewed by Dave Patriarch. And then we have a break over the holidays. We start the new year next year with Justine Zavitz, who is in partnership with her mother, Terry Zavitz, and that's an interesting situation. Followed by Libby Wildman, somebody who's been in the business for quite many years. Jennifer Walker, and then Mr. Kelly Adams will be interviewed by Barry Pascal on January the 30th. Roger Thorpe is up on February 13th, and then Sim Gakar on February the 20th. So we're booking now into the end of February and the beginning of March. And again, if you know of anyone who we should be speaking with, please let me know. I'd like to thank Miles Posner for being with us today and helping us to understand better how to be a successful agent and MGA and transition through all of this. And I'd like to thank Chris DeBarzo yet again for technical service and advice in putting these webinars on. We look forward to seeing you next week to meet with Joel Kadesky and meet the Masters of Insurance webinar series. Thank you.
And Lawrence, thank you. Okay, you offer a fabulous service all the way through from advisors only to this initiative.
Well, thank you, Miles. I appreciate your confidence in me.